Lunch with Abby. Of course, I'm your favorite host, Abidemi Tyrell. We're very much excited because this is actually our first time of being back on site filming since the pandemic hit. So, if you've never heard of On the Couch with Abby, it is a talk show where we share authentic African stories that are not mainly shared in the mainstream media in Ireland. We love to share, we love to share and celebrate people, whether as professionals, creatives, or you simply just being you. Today, I am honored to be here with the beautiful Christie Idemudia. So, welcome, Christie.
Thank you, Abby.
Thank you so much for welcoming us into your home. Really, really appreciate that.
My pleasure. I'm happy to have you guys here.
Great stuff. So, it is October,
I know.
Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah, it is.
Um, and this is such a special one, personally, for me, because I lost someone whew, just 2 months ago to breast cancer. I'm already crying.
It's okay. It's okay. That's why it's authentic.
I said nothing like this is going to happen, I promise myself. But yeah, it's still very much fresh. So yeah, I lost someone to breast cancer just 2 months ago. And I actually can't believe that all this while, I've never been that kind of person that would be like, oh, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You just sort of think in your head that things like this will never happen to you or people that are, close to you. So for the first time ever, I thought, you know what, this is my way of just, I feel like it's important to educate people, especially African women, because, we just don't think these things would happen.
Yeah.
But guess what? It does happen. So I know, Christie, that actually before we start, I'm going to talk a bit about you. You are a wife. Before we go into the whole breast cancer thing, it's important to get to know you.
Yeah.
I like to look at people in a holistic manner. It's very, very important. So yeah, we're going to get to know Christie. Christie is a wife. She's an amazing mother to two teenagers.
Okay. I hope they think so.
Huh?
I hope they think so.
I like that. I'm sure they do. So she's a wife, she's a mother, and she's a professional. She's an HR professional. So yeah, welcome, Christie. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Thank you again, Abby. A bit about myself. I think you just summed it up. I think I'm first of all a wife, a mother to teenagers, not so much, 20 and 17.
Oh,
so
okay.
then they're quite the adults now. And a HR professional. And that is me in a nutshell, really.
Okay.
Unless there was anything specific that you wanted to ask, then I could share more. But yeah, that's me.
That's you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's talk about breast cancer.
Okay.
It's Pink October. So Christie, you are a survivor. You are a warrior of breast cancer. Can you tell us a bit more about that, when you were diagnosed, and how everything panned out for you?
I suppose when you started out there, you did say that when you hear breast cancer, you actually look at it, from a third person perspective. You never think it's something that that is going to hit home or it's going to come close to you. So we've always heard about breast cancer, but you're like, oh, okay. You never think it's going to come knocking. So on that fateful, I think this was 2010, very late 2010 into October-ish, November of 2010. Randomly, I felt a lump on my right side of the breast. I wasn't searching. I wasn't doing anything. I don't even remember how I stumbled on it. I think I was probably lying down. But I didn't think anything about it. And I just left it. And then sometimes I will feel it, sometimes I will not feel it. But the cancer, it's not something that, I kind of thought about. But I think, and I forgot about it until sometime in January. And I think it just kept bugging me. All of a sudden, I got that awareness that something was off. I remember asking my husband to touch it and, if he feels anything, because I thought maybe I was going mad because I feel it, then I don't feel it, And then he felt it and he said, yeah, it feels lumpy. And then I think I was in the office one day. I just jumped out of my chair and I went straight to to the hospital back then in Nigeria, and of course they were like, "Oh, it doesn't feel like anything. How old are you? Oh, you're quite young. But you know what? We'll just check it out and see what was happening." And I think that was when they did an incision biopsy, and the result came out. And I remember sitting in front of the doctor, and I just heard the word invasive ductal carcinoma. It's a very long word for cancer, by the way, doctors, if you're listening. But yes, I heard that word, and I was like, what does that mean? The doctor was even really uncomfortable, and he said, cancer. I think everything that happened there on in the hospital, I don't remember, because I just blanked out. So sometimes when you watch it in movies, and the person they told, someone is giving a bad news and they actually blank out, it's real. I actually blanked out, and I just didn't hear anything that they were saying. So, and that diagnosis came in February of 2011. So I noticed the lump around October in 2010 and did nothing about it until January, February, when I went to, when it started to bug me. So I suppose the lesson there is act immediately. So yes, that was how I got the diagnosis.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And actually, may I ask, so what stage were you at that moment when you were diagnosed?
And I think that's really important, because at the time I was diagnosed, it is past stage 2, going to stage 3, because it has gone into the lymph node now. So it's starting to spread. So, and they tell you, and I think it's true, that the survivor of breast cancer is, a lot of the times, most times, dependent on how early you catch it. Because if you catch it in situ, meaning it's just where it is, it hasn't spread. Sometimes you take out the lump, and then you may need radiotherapy, and you may not need chemotherapy. Because I've read, I haven't seen a couple of things like that. So it was definitely, it was past stage 2.
Okay, great stuff. One thing that's very important is that when I was doing my research, age is very important when it comes to finding out whether you've got breast cancer or not. And one thing people realize is that it doesn't matter. Like, cancer does not discriminate, basically, whether your age, because of course officially people are actually not meant to get checked in a hospital, I think, until they're 50 in Ireland. But now we have people in their as young as even being in their early 20s, 20s, 30s, finding out that they are actually that they've got cancer. So tell us, what were the symptoms that you started to of course you told me that you got the lumps, but did you experience any symptoms?
No, I was asymptomatic.
Wow.
No symptoms whatsoever. So that's your number one. The risk of breast cancer is simply the fact that you're a woman. That's one of the risks. And when they say check, I think I don't remember 100% now, but there's a specific time you're supposed to check it at a specific time every month, so that, because during period or hormones, so you have to check it at a specific time. Age. I was diagnosed when I was 35.
Wow.
So, and that was this is 11 years ago now. Okay, I just gave out my age there. So this is 11 years ago, and even at that time, that was young. That was really young. My son was 5 years old. My daughter was 8 years old at the time. So, and even going to do the scans, or the, what you call it, when you go mammogram. The mammogram didn't even pick anything, because the breast was so dense. And that's one of the reasons they tell you, that's one of the reasons you're supposed to go for your mammograms at a later age, I think in your 50s or so, because at a younger age your breast is so dense that it can't really pick anything. So most of the time you have to do a sonogram, an ultrasound. So the mammogram wasn't showing anything. And I think it was a biopsy that really showed that there was something. And in that time, me trying, first of all, you're in denial. You want to go for second choice, you a second opinion, or second, you're in denial. And I think there was this, and then you're afraid. So I remember, age, I've had someone 25 years breast cancer, and even I have no cancer in my family. My grandmother passed at 104. All my aunties are still alive. No one of them has died of cancer. My father. So there's nobody in my family. There's nothing in my family that would say there's a trace of cancer. Even when I went for genetic testing, nothing. So it wasn't like, maybe some people, they have cancer in their family, so check. That's nothing in my family. So I wouldn't be what you call your fit the mold of criteria. And I say that to say, check. One of the major risks is that you're a woman. So just check.
I actually found out that men also develop breast
Yeah.
cancer.
Yeah.
So as long as you've got
breast, yeah, fair play, yeah. As long as you've
anyone
got,
can
yeah,
get cancer.
100%. As long as you have breast tissues, yeah, that's a
breast
fair
tissues.
point.
Breast
That's a fair
tissues,
point,
let's be
yeah.
more specific.
That's a fair point, yeah.
So yeah, thanks so much for sharing that. So tell us, what happened after the diagnosis? What was the next steps when it came to, getting some treatment?
So,
Because let's just actually point out, this is actually very important. Then you were based in Nigeria.
yeah.
So tell us a bit about that.
It was crazy. What happened after that, I was blank and I was afraid. For the first 3 days, I probably lost 10% of weight just being afraid and not eating. And just you just lose your appetite. You're afraid. It's like a death sentence because 10, 11 years ago, anyone with cancer that you heard of died. Well, I don't know anyone who survived at that time though. And it's just like, I don't know if you know, when you buy a car, when you buy a brand new car, you think you're the only one that has the car until you drive out of your driveway and you realize, oh my God, everybody has the car.
Yeah.
So, and then suddenly, then for me, people who I would hear, oh, this person had died, that person had died, that person had died, they were all dying of cancer. So it was like, I don't know if it was, the devil playing a fast one on my mind and my faith. But I think I spent, and that's really important for me to share because it wasn't always warrior, superwoman. I was afraid, but I did snap out of, because I had 5-year-old son and 8-year-old son. I was afraid for the first 3 days. And then I think by the third day, I snapped out of it and I was determined that I was going to survive. And I think that's really key because sometimes death starts from your mind, from fear. So I had to conquer the fear of that, and I had to conquer the fear of me just being afraid because everything around me was all gloomy and doom. Nigeria, the doctors, the facilities are not there. So, but what I decided to do was to seek healthcare options outside of the country.
Okay.
So I went to South Africa. I traveled to South Africa, and thank God that I had the means to do that because definitely not everyone, would have that means. But exactly, and then I don't even know what the story would have been because every story I see in Nigeria, I saw in Nigeria at the time, wasn't a good one, and that was why I had to go to South Africa, and get the test done again, and it was confirmed, and then I started the treatment process, which was even more difficult because.
So tell us about the treatment that you received.
So I got 6 now or 4 courses of what they call the red devil. Doctors will know it. I can't even pronounce the name. AC, it's quite long name. I think they call it AC for sure. The red devil. The red devil. It's chemotherapy.
Okay.
It's red.
Right.
And it actually knocks you out. Like the symptoms. So I was fine until I started taking chemo. And I had 4 courses of that, and then 4 courses of the Taxol. I'm amazed I still remember their names, but it was 8 months long treatment of chemotherapy every 3 weeks.
Wow.
And that meant me flying to South Africa every 3 weeks. So imagine the cost of, of that
Back
and forth every 3 weeks, and then for almost 8 months. And then after that, the surgery happened. In some cases, the surgery happens. They do in some cases the surgery first before the chemotherapy.
So, do you mind telling us what surgery?
Breast surgery.
Okay.
So I had my breast. I had more than half of my breast removed.
Okay. So you mean and I don't know why I find it difficult to pronounce this now. A mastectomy?
Oh yeah.
Mastectomy.
Now you just took it out of my mouth. I can't even pronounce it myself. Mastectomy. Mastectomy. I think so. So yeah, I not a full one. No, I think I can't remember what they call a lumpectomy. That's what I did, a lumpectomy, because they okay, let's not pronounce it. The total removal of your breast tissues, right? But mine was a lumpectomy, which meant they removed they removed more than half of my breast, so that they got the lump and then took some margins out to make sure that it was really clear. But and that was after the chemotherapy. I had the surgery, and then after the surgery I had radiotherapy. So for the whole of 2011, I was on this. So it's like a 1 year treatment, really. Up until December, I had my last radiotherapy in December of 2011, and then started the recovering process in 2012. So yeah, so it was a tough year. It was a tough year. I was working in Nigeria. I was a banker. So my husband, the kids. It was a tough year, but I guess I was just it was one of those things where you're determined to leave, because flying to South Africa, and coming back home, because I would usually fly to South Africa, come back immediately a day or two later, because by the third, fourth day, that's when the symptoms kick in. So I literally will run back home before all the symptoms start kicking in. The loss of taste, the sore. I think I basically experienced all of the symptoms there. But I think that's what scares people. But I think, but at the same time, it's fine, really, because it's like there's always there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. And I think it was just that sheer determination to live and to survive. And for me, some people go through the treatment and don't survive it. So I don't even take it for granted, because there's something like not responding to treatment. But I think I was, and that's why, again, my faith in God. I love medicine.
We're gonna get back
I
to
love
that.
medicine. Medicine is great, but ultimately, it was my faith in God, really.
We're gonna get to that actually. I was gonna wait for you to finish that and talk about faith. But before we get into faith, into you talking about your faith, can we talk about the effect it had on your family? So your husband, your parents, your immediate and not so immediate family. What were the effects it had on them? Realizing that you had developed breast cancer?
So I had to reduce my sphere of contact, because my parents, I didn't tell them immediately, because I didn't want them, really being worried. You know how I'm a parent, so sometimes it's like they are the ones even sick, not you. As my husband was just a rock star, because basically he became the mom and the dad. Because when I would go take chemo and come back,
for that whole year.
That whole year, he was mom and dad for everything. And but I suppose I will come back, and I had lost weight. I barely weighed 50 kilos. I barely weighed 50 kilos, but I still rocked the look, by the way, because
I trust you.
Because nobody, if you didn't know me before, and I think it's really important, and that's why I love the look good, feel better, because
Thanks for mentioning that,
it makes you where you teach people how to look after themselves when they're going through cancer treatment. You don't wear the cancer. You just you fight your way through it. So yeah, I had lost weight, barely weighed 50 kilos, but had a good trouser, a good, really nice trouser, and just changed my tops. And if you didn't know me before, you would just think I'm some slim.
Right.
And a lot of people still didn't know.
Wow.
because they just felt, oh, Christy, you and your weight and your diet thing, there you go again. It's too much, or you are losing weight too much. You need to leave it alone now. They didn't know. Because in that time, all the symptoms of your nails getting dark, I would color my nails black or dark blue. And I had a wig on, a short wig, and I just basically, and I would wear my makeup. I didn't have eyebrows. Look good, feel better taught me how to wear my eyebrow. I didn't know about lash extension then. Otherwise, I probably would have worn it, but I didn't anyway. But yeah, I had mascara and would, try. And my skin color did change, but I think I got. They did teach me how to, moisturize. I knew something was wrong with me, but unless you were really close with me, close to me, you wouldn't know. Yeah. So, but I kept my sphere of contact really close. It was my husband. My kids knew what was happening. Maybe 1 or 2, 3 friends. I don't think I told my pastor in church, but I don't think I told a lot of people because I wanted to guard my heart, and I wanted to limit the negative information. So I remember mentioning it. Funny enough, it was my mom. I remember finally mentioned it to my mom, and she was like, "Hey," and went on. And I was like, and she's a nurse, and I was like, "See, that's why I didn't tell you initially." So I think for me that was really important.
So basically, what I'm hearing you say, Christy, is that was your coping mechanism.
That was me. Yeah, that was me, because I wouldn't say whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Have your community. I mean, my community then was my husband, the few friends that I had there, but who were not looking at me, like
they were not looking at you
at
with
the cancer. Thank you. It was like, hey, let's do this, let's do that. No one was like, oh, she's sick, or I didn't want the pity.
And that's quite important, actually.
For me, it was important. Some people like to talk about it. At the time, I didn't talk about it. I didn't want the pity, and if people would just look at me and say, "Oh my God, Christy, you've lost a lot of weight. You need to stop your diet and your fitness thing. It's too much now." And I would just smile and I'll move on. But that's what people saw. But I knew what I was going on. So I didn't tell a lot of people, really.
Fair enough. Can I talk about you? I know you mentioned the look good, feel better. Obviously with chemotherapy, it would affect one's hair. The hair would, start falling off. You mentioned the whole thing about nails,
your nails,
even the skin as well. So tell us a bit more about this Look Good Feel Better. Was it like a charity organization?
They're a charity organization, and I actually found them in South Africa in one of my chemo courses there. So I was taking the chemo, and after the chemo, they just send you on to there's this amazing group of women, blah blah blah, and you go there, teach you how to wear your makeup, teach you how to because you lose your eyebrow, you lose your eyelashes. I lost my eyelash, I lost my eyebrow, and I had I was bare, had no hair. I had no hair on my head either. So they teach you how to, kind of look after your skin. Your nails are brittle. They tell you the kind of nail polish remover to use, the ones without acetone. Because then, just so many things that I actually started using under eye cream. Because of them, I never knew what under eye cream was, but I thought they brought my consciousness to, skincare really. And I think ever since then, I just went on with it. So, and for me, that's really personal, because at right now, I actually work with them, and I give skincare classes to people, free skincare classes to women here in Ireland undergoing cancer treatment. But I suppose that was that this is me now giving back as a result of what I received from them at that time. 10 years later.
10 years later. Well, 11 years later.
11 years later, yeah.
Do you feel like you're part of the lucky ones, Christy?
I wouldn't want to use the word lucky. I kind of think I'm blessed, because sometimes I why did I survive? I've seen pastors' wives, people you actually look up to dead. What happened to cancer? I've seen women that you actually looked up to, whether spiritually or otherwise, passed. What happened to cancer? So, and when they discovered the cancer, it wasn't like it wasn't your typical what you call it was discovered early. No, it wasn't discovered early. It started spreading into the lymph node. In fact, I think they got 3 lymph nodes with cancer in it. So I think I'm just blessed, and I think for me, I just think there's a greater purpose to my life, and yeah, I just think I don't take life for granted. I'm kinder to people. I make excuses for people, not because I want to, but because I just feel like I shouldn't be here, but I'm here. And sometimes I sit down, I ask my husband, how did I even discover the lump on my chest? And what made me get up that day to go do something about it? So yeah, God has a plan for me, really. And that's why when things happen, I just smile, because I'm like, I didn't die then. I'm not about to die now. So we'll get through this. We'll get through this. And that's the way. Yeah, I do feel really blessed. I don't know about lucky, but I actually do feel really blessed.
Love that. And tell us about what your faith, because of course you did mention your faith earlier. You're a Christian, so was it something that you felt like, you prayed through all those moments, or that you had your community, your close-knit people praying for you over this horrible ailment?
I don't know if anyone was praying for me. I definitely believed people were. But I think when it comes to things like this, I always want to, that was the only control that I had. Like, I didn't want to depend on Abby praying for me. What if Abby was too tired and she wasn't praying for me, and I didn't know? And again, there's a level where someone's faith can take you to. A time comes when it has to be your faith. That's what I believe. I can pray for you to a certain extent, but after a while, you have to step up. So I do believe that my faith in God was a major game changer in this. Yes, I followed medicine. God created medicine. I took doctor's advice, but I've also heard of not responding to treatment. Or the cancer has gone worse. And I think for me, that was my God, that was my God factor. So yeah, a huge emphasis on, because some days are so bad where I literally can't get up. I'll crawl to the bathroom just to throw up, because there's no strength in me anymore. And the only thing you can just do is, sometimes there was a time I couldn't talk.
Wow.
Because I had blisters all over my mouth. So my mouth will literally be opened. This is not to frighten anyone. People respond to, the symptoms are different for everyone, really. But for me personally, there were days like that where I couldn't even close my mouth because the blisters, I couldn't swallow, I couldn't do anything. That my mouth will literally be open. I couldn't talk because moving my mouth, I would be in pain. But even in that time, I would groan, like I would be talking, but it's just not audible for you. But I knew I was only me, and and God knew what I was, trying to say, and I would just pray my way through it. I had no doctor in Nigeria, so if there was an emergency, I had nowhere to go to. I remember one night where my temperature was so high, and I literally prayed through that night, because when the temperature was so high, there was an infection definitely going on, because it was well over 104. Is it Fahrenheit or more than 37? Yeah, more than 37, well into 38, going to 39. It was really, but the fever broke, because where would I go to? All my doctors are in South Africa. If I went to a hospital in Nigeria, no history, no nothing. It was just a miracle, really. Yes, we went to South Africa, we got treatment. It was still a major, major, major miracle. That's 11 years ago. I know things have advanced now. There's a lot of advances in medicine, but imagine 11 years ago in Nigeria,
A lot. Thank you so much for sharing all of that, because honestly, I can imagine it most definitely wouldn't have been an easy period for anyone or any other type of cancer, and perhaps did not survive it. So it's a privilege to be here with you. So tell us, post-treatment, post-diagnosis, you moved to Ireland, of course. So how have you found the healthcare in Ireland? Because of course I know you mentioned that, back in Nigeria, you had to fly to South Africa to get that, quality healthcare. How have you found it being in Ireland all these years?
I came to Ireland in 2013, so that was got diagnosed in 2011. That was like a year post treatment, and I think as soon as I came, I just, it's like going to report yourself. So I went to the GP and reported myself. Yeah, this is my history, blah, and immediately they referred me to St. James's, and I think they got interest in me because it was at a very young age, in that I didn't suit your typical profile for breast cancer, so there was interest in me. They did all the genetic marker test, and year in year out, just do I just go for my annual checkup, and I think it's been great. There's a lot of support here. There's a lot of programs, a lot of support group. There's Look Good, Feel Better right here at, I mean, you have to still look good while you're being treated. You can't let cancer take over your life, It's something that will pass, so you keep living. And they're here also in Ireland. So I think, the healthcare system in Ireland, it's really good. The support systems are there, support groups. There's a whole lot of community, better than, what I would have seen in Nigeria. When I was in South Africa, it was a private healthcare sector that I went to. So yeah, you could say they're international top-notch standard too, because it was private. So the support is really here in Ireland, and it's been good. But I like to say that I was officially let go. Let go, is that a word? Officially, discharged from oncology last year. So because it's been 10 years now, so I no longer go for. I I still have to do my mammogram, but they're not keeping a close eye on me. And I remember the doctor said, "You're cured at this stage. Your chances of getting breast cancer is as good as the chances of any other normal who's never had it before." Wow. Because so that was
how did you celebrate that, Christy? I want to know. Did you pop open a bottle of champagne?
No, I didn't. It was just very surreal. Wow. Like, you've gone every September around this, every August, September, I have to go see the doctor. And even at that, post-survivor is also traumatic sometimes. Because you go for that check, you wait to go see the doctor, you're waiting for the results, and you're like, what if it comes back? What if? So every July, August in the last years have always been, in the first 4 or 5 years was really traumatic for me, because I have to go see the doctor and I'm like, what if it comes back? What if it comes back? But I think by the 6th, 7th year, I was like, whatever, what if? We'll deal with it. Yeah. We did it the first time, we'll do it the second time. So this is just to say that there's so many things to go. It's a battle of the mind. It's not just being treated. There's a chance of reoccurrence. And then the society has a way of beating you down. You want to go get a mortgage, they actually remind you that because you've had a history of cancer, your life insurance, it just like, when will they stop? So there's a whole lot of things that people need to be aware, but there's a way out. You can get stuck in there. There's a way out. So yeah, but I choose to focus on the fact that I'm alive, and when you're alive, when you're strong-willed and you're alive and your eyes are on the ball, you can do anything. So yeah, but it's just the world just has a way of reminding you. The system, you want to get a mortgage, you declare your health history, that becomes a problem. So they have a way of reminding you, but you keep moving. So it's been good. A lot of things never came back the way it was pre. My hair never fully came back full. I used to have really full, luscious hair, but my hair never grew back that full. It grew back really curly, babyish curly, but I choose to focus on, I'm alive. Thank God for wigs.
Does that remind you? I mean, what you said about your hair actually is profound for me. Yeah. So does that remind you that you looking in the mirror and thinking, you know what, touching your hair, this is what I survived?
Does it remind me?
In a positive way.
In a positive way, yeah, in a positive way. But you just learn to think, focus on the things that really matter, right? But it's just really important that, we're adults here, even though kids will the word, it also affects your sexual libido. Oh yes, it does. Because a lot of things happens with the hormones, and your body's just not your body, but
not the same.
It's not the same, but you find ways to you just focus on the bigger thing, really, and thank God for my rockstar husband, so we're good. I think so. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Post treatment.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Christie, because I actually know someone who survived cancer recently as well.
Yeah.
And she said to me, when she found out and she got home and she told her daughter, she said her daughter said one thing, "Ma'am, it's either your breast or your life."
Yeah.
And she said, of course, she chose her life.
Yeah.
So she had a double
mastectomy. Oh, I have to learn how to pronounce that word.
And I see pictures a lot of women's chest after they've undergone their surgery. I would imagine it's a life-changing.
It is life-changing
surgery, because I was actually having a discussion with a friend a couple of days ago, and I thought, God forbid if that were to happen. You've grown up all your life with your breasts, and it seems as if your breasts, it's a big deal. And
it is
just losing that, and then going, as you said, how it affects your sexual life as well. It's just it's life transforming in that way, but it also gives you perspective, right? On what's important.
On what's on the important things. But I got a free boob job. Boob, yeah, because I had a breast reconstruction anyway, and it wasn't because I asked for it. The doctors just, it was a lumpectomy, so they had to do it because one, I was a D cup, so they had to reduce because one of my breasts was like a B cup, so they just mashed the other one. And then I know I slag about it, and I'm like, well, at least I got a free boob job.
I love that.
So.
And you know what? In the midst of conversations like this, it's so important. It's so important to be able to see the positive side of it.
100%. That's what pulls you through.
So let's go into the professional life.
Okay.
So Christie is a HR manager at Mercury, correct?
Yes.
So tell us, obviously it's also Black History Month.
Yeah.
Tell us how you worked your way up as a Black woman in Ireland. Because it's a difficult one.
It's a difficult one.
And I'm sure a lot of people would like to know.
It's a difficult one. It was shared determination, just not blaming. I think even though the racism was there, I just didn't pay attention to it. I was really determined. I left Nigeria. I was in management role in Nigeria. I came here and I started as an administrator.
Wow.
And I started to work my way in, my way up. But again, once you are put together with the young graduate who is straight out of school, you're just going to shine through because you can Google experience, right? But I had to, and every promotion that I have, I've had to promote myself. Self-advocacy, it's really important. Someone said to me, oh, my man, they won't promote me. I'm like, you have to promote yourself. I remember going to my manager, not once, not twice. In my current role, every role I've gotten, I do a one-page memo, achievements, accomplishments. This is what my title should be, and this is what my salary range in the market is looking like. Let's have a discussion. And I actually take it there to my manager and we discuss. And that's how I promoted myself twice in my current company to this job. No one sat me down and said, oh, you're doing so well, so we promote you. No. I said to people, you have to advocate for yourself. You can't be feeling sorry for yourself because you are in the minority, because the truth is that you are in the minority. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to moan about it, or are you going to stand out? And I just, really chose to stand out. It wasn't easy, but like I said, I chose not to focus on the negative part. I was just so determined. And in my company, everything I say is about representation, because I know that if I have a seat on the table, then I will impact decisions that the company is making. It's Black History Month, and for the first time, we did Black History Month in my company, and I ensured that we were at the APNI career fair. My company was there.
Actually, yeah.
Making sure that we're actively not doing it to check the books, but making sure that we're actively providing access to employment to the Black community. But if I wasn't there, being on that platform, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So I suppose for me, it's more about, getting to the very top, not for myself, but to be able to open the door, for others who look like me, to be able to come in. And that's one of the things that drives me to just change the trajectory of the Black community in whatever way that I can. So if you're in the Black community, you can't go to work and be lazy. You can't go to work and complain. You have to have tangible achievements that you take to your boss.
Back it up with data.
This is what I've done. These are my goals and objectives, but these are the extras that I brought to the table. And because of this is what I think I should be based on the twice that I think I've done it 3 times now, and every time I have done it, I have moved to the next level. I really have moved to the next level, and I think that's how I knew what I wanted. It's really important that we know what we want and don't just go for everything, and know fully well that you don't have it right now doesn't mean you're not going to have it. You just have to stay focused and be at it, and just talk to people. Mentoring is really good. Talk to people in that community. Get sponsors, even within the white community in your company.
I was going to ask you
get
what
sponsors.
you think about allyship when it comes to, because of course, and I appreciate everything you've said, sometimes, and for anybody watching, you could have done all of those things and still not be where you want to be. So what do you think about, of course, having someone who has your back and who supports you in the workplace?
I say to every young professional, Black or white, you have to have your own personal board of directors. And your personal board of directors includes a coach, a sponsor, an ally, and a mentor. When you do have those 4, an ally and a sponsor are in your workplace where you work. Your name will be mentioned in places that you will not be. But when your name is mentioned, you have sponsors or an ally in that room that can help you. And then do you have a coach? Do you have a mentor? So you need to find out, have a personal board of directors for yourself, like it's a company. A mentor, a coach, an ally, and a sponsor. Everyone needs it.
Everyone needs it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Christie. Really, really appreciate that. Do you have any more advice when it comes to anyone that's been diagnosed with breast cancer, or when it comes to the profession of it?
If you've been diagnosed with breast cancer, hey, hello, I'm here. I represent hope. So it means that when I share these stories, I share it because I know that I represent hope. That if I survived it, then it means that there's a chance that you can survive it. It's not the end of the world. Get treated, follow through your treatment course, have a will to live. Don't let all the symptoms or the effect of chemo get to you, because it can get to you. But just live your life even while going through cancer. Live your life, and if you're a professional in a minority ethnic group, get yourself a personal board of directors, a mentor, a coach, an ally, and a sponsor, and then work the work. And I'm sure you'll be fine at some point.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
And one more last question.
Yeah.
This just popped into my head. What advice, Christie, do you have for anyone who could have lost someone?
What advice do I have for anyone who could have lost someone
Due to cancer.
Due to cancer? That's a hard one, because grief is personal. But I'll say, if you lost anyone due to cancer, then I'd say cherish your memories with that person, and then maybe do more. Find out how you could advocate cancer awareness talk to people about it. Just make it, make people aware of it so that they can get, checked out. That, that's all you can do.
Great.
And then find a way to deal with your grief, whatever that is. But deal with that grief. Find a way to deal with it, and then do something about it. Yeah.
Yes. So don't cut, please. Can you pass me the flowers, please?
Oh, okay.
Are we still filming? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, probably cut. Okay.
My card is in my bag. So thank you so much, Christie, for welcoming us into your home and for sharing your story.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So now listen. Thank you so much for watching On the Couch with Abby. That was such an inspiring story. And I'd just like to give you a recap. As an African or someone from the minority background, if you're working in Ireland, Christy shared with us the 4 important points. Make sure you have a mentor, make sure you have an ally, a coach, and a sponsor. Very, very important. And last but not least, if you have been diagnosed with breast cancer, know this, there is hope at the end of it all. It is not the end, there is hope. And if you've been diagnosed or know anyone that's been diagnosed with cancer, there really is hope. And Christy showed us that, she highlighted that in her story, especially as well with the advancement in science. It's not the end of the world. You can survive this. Thank you for watching.